Hello students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, Hyderabad. This is Dr. Vigneshwar Mekha, Assistant Professor of Geography. Today, we will learn types of disasters, floods, droughts, landslides and management. Learning objectives. After studying this lesson, you will be able to identify different types of natural disasters, understand the causes and consequences of natural disasters, to suggest measures to minimize the impacts and their management. A disaster is referred to a catastrophic calamity in which the communities became incapable of coping and are subjected to suffering. They impact human services and environment from local to regional scale. Among the disasters, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, floods, droughts, landslides, etc. are important. India is not an exemption to disasters. For examples, the tsunami along the east coast of India on 26th December 2004 and the severe earthquake of Gujarat state on 26th January 2001. We begin with types of disasters. Disasters are broadly classified into two types, namely natural disasters and man-made disasters. Natural disasters. They are sudden and unexpected events that cause significant damage, destruction and also human suffering to a large number of people, depending upon their intensity and geographical extent. They overwhelm local resources and call for assistance at national and international level as well. The natural disasters include geological disasters, volcanoes, earthquakes and landslides, meteorological or hydrological disasters, which includes floods, droughts, cyclones, avalanches, heat waves, cold waves, wildfire in forest and grasslands, insect and locust infested, and epidemic disasters such as cholera, corona, malaria, dengue, etc. They are caused by human activities that cause suffering for people, their health, and harm to the environment. They are also known as anthropogenic disasters, which occur as a result of human activities intentionally or by mistake due to failure of system or technology, such as nuclear accidents, wars, terrorist blasts, industrial explosions, chemical spills, dam breaks, etc. In this session, we discuss about natural disasters of floods, droughts and landslides. Let us focus on their causes as well as management even. Floods. Flood is a natural disaster of meteorological origin and it is a state of high water levels along a river channel or on the coast that contribute to tidal inundation of low-lying areas. In other words, a flood can be defined as the inundation of an area which is completely covered by water for a temporary period of time. Floods generally occur when a river discharges as an overflow over the banks and water spreads into the nearby low-lying areas known as floodplains formed due to its paleo-channels. Further, heavy monsoonal rainfall for longer periods and insufficient capacity of rivers to carry the high discharge of water also causes flooding. Floods result damage to property and human life compared to the other natural disasters. Because of their occurrence of areal extent, intensity, catchment area characteristics, human settlements along their path in floodplains. India accounts about 20% of all flood related deaths worldwide. Approximately 40 million hectares or 12% of the country's geographical land area is prone to Brahmaputra and Gangetic river basins of India account for 60% of total river flow, and those with the highest risk are vulnerable to the flooding. Most vulnerable states of flooding in a country are Assam, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Odisha, followed by Haryana, Punjab and Andhra Pradesh. In 2023, the states of Gujarat and Rajasthan also experienced heavy floods due to changing weather patterns or climatic changes. There are different types of floods. Flash floods. They are sudden and intense floods which occur during a shorter period with a few hours. They are usually smaller, steep watershed urban areas which have impervious coupled with a poor drainage systems. Heavy rainfall, cloudburst, sudden release of water from the dams and reservoirs leads to flash floods. Riverine floods, they are also called fluvial floods. These are the most common type of floods where rivers overflow their banks due to heavy rainfall, snow melt or combine the both. Urban floods. Generally they occur in urban areas because the built up areas in the urban centers are impervious and the pavements are constructed with the concrete and the drain water do not absorb into the ground, which causes runoff into the low-lying areas. When the heavy rainfall exceeds in the urban areas, the water bodies lose their water holding capacity, causing water to overflow and accumulate on the flat ground, resulting the floods, and it causes to damage to the public properties and private properties. Coastal floods. They are caused by cyclonic storm surge, tidal wave currents and tidal bears, which result sea water submerging the coastal areas and so onto the land. The coastal areas magnitude depends upon the coastal topography and the amount of surge of water onto the land. Dam or levee failures. These occur when the barrages and dams levees are unable to withstand the accumulated pressure of flood waters. Then they cause to release large volume of water downstreams, leading to floods in the low-lying areas. Causes of floods. There are various causes for the occurrence of the floods. They are heavy rainfall. Prolonged rainfall can exceed drainage systems and natural water bodies, causing overflow of water. Subsequent flooding occurs. Sediment deposition in the river valleys causes the riverbeds to become shallow and reduces carrying capacity of the rivers, that leads to outflow of water into the low-lying areas. Poor drainage systems or poor maintained drainage systems lead to the accumulation of water in low-lying areas, causing local floods. Deforestation activity leads to the floods. Vegetation cover prevents water from flowing freely and allows it to seep into the ground. Ability of the land to absorb water, increased surface runoff and higher chances of flooding. Cyclones, heavy rainfall, high wind associated with and tropical storms often results a widespread flooding in coastal and inland areas. Tsunamis also cause the flood in the coastal areas. Failure of dams and levees leads to storage capacity decrease and loss of black water capacity. Interference in drainage system. Due to the interference with the drainage flow system, poorly planned bridges, roads, railways and other construction projects will be distracted by the floods. Urbanization process, by which the construction in urban centers create impermeable surfaces and the runoff and preventing rainwater from being absorbed into the ground and increasing the risk of urban flooding. River overflow. When the rivers receive more water than their retaining capacity, then water overflows the levees and reaches to the low-lying areas and flat grounds. Consequences of floods. Floods can have significant and wide-ranging consequences, affects individual communities, environment and economy. Floods results in loss of human life, especially when people are caught off guard and unable to evacuate in time from the affected areas. Property damage and destruction occurs with the floods, where extensive damage and destruction to homes, buildings and infrastructure takes place. Displacement and homelessness also takes place due to the floods, because the people forced to evacuate their homes, leaving the areas temporarily and even displaced permanently. Infrastructure damage occurs, such as roads, buildings, bridges, public utilities are get washed away or severely damaged due to the floods. Environmental impact also occurs because of the floods. Riverbank erosion, water pollution, damage to biodiversity and habitats with the adverse effects are on drinking water supplies, public health, siltation of agricultural land also takes place with the result of the floods. Economic losses are also takes place because they are disrupting human economic activities, particularly agriculture, manufacturing and tourism sectors. Destruction or disruption of the services also takes place by the floods because they interrupt power supply, communication network, energy services, etc. Agriculture and food security also impacted by the flooding, frequent flooding, because the agriculture fields get damaged and loss to food and horticulture crops affects production of food and its availability. Flood management. The systematic planning for flood management in the country was commenced with the launching of National Flood Management Program in 2016. Flood management measures are of two kinds: structural measures and non-structural measures. The physical structures are envisaged to prevent flood waters from reaching the potential damage sites or areas, which includes embankments, flood walls, flood levees, dams, reservoirs, natural detention basins, channel and drainage improvement, diversion of the flood waters, catchment area treatment, afforestation and anti-erosion works, etc. The non-structural measures includes floodplain risk zoning, flood proofing, flood forecasting and warning, regulation of reservoirs and scourge, relief when an area experiences deficiency in precipitation of less than normal over a long period in duration and intensity. Hydrological drought. It is a result of prolonged meteorological drought resulting in depletion of the groundwater levels, lowering of water in surface reservoirs, streams, aquifers, causing severe shortage of water for crops, livestock and consumption of human beings. Agriculture drought. It is a severe meteorological drought with deficient rainfall and soil moisture for crop growth, causing crop stress, lower production, poor grazing for the livestock. Socio-economic drought. It is one of the important category of drought from socio-economic perspective. It takes into account scarcity of water, demand, management techniques. It affects on a wider range of human activities, communities and capacity of societies to deal with the shortage of the water. Causes of droughts. There are various causes which results this drought conditions in our country. Scarcity of rainfall than the normal period. Repeat, scarcity of rainfall over a longer period is one of the main cause of the drought. El Nino, La Nino weather events contribute to the drought conditions. Climate changes such as burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, all weather patterns increase the occurrence of frequency and severity of the drought in some areas. Deforestation process reduces the capacity of the land to retain moisture, which affects local rainfall patterns. Over extraction of the groundwater for municipal, industrial, agricultural purposes deplete aquifers, reduces water availability, causing a favorable for occurrence of the droughts. Changes in the land use and urbanization affect the amount of water that seeps into the ground and as runoffs, also leading to the droughts. Natural climate variabilities such as Pacific decadal oscillation, Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation are the few examples of the natural climatic cycles that contribute to the occurrence of droughts. Poor water management. Insufficient water management properties such as inadequate water storage, distribution system, impacts of droughts leads to water shortages. Consequences of droughts. There are various consequences on people, environment and economy the result of the droughts. Supply of water for agriculture, irrigation, industrial use, hydraulical power. Water scarcity to food shortage, higher food prices, crop failures occur. Shortage of fodder to the cattle takes place. Financial losses for the farmers occurs. Reduced economic growth in rural areas is the main occurrence. The reduced water supply leads to waterborne hygiene issues in urban and rural areas. Limited access to clean drinking water would be the main problem. Economic hardship, unemployment, migration and stress on limited resources would be the main impact. Drought prone areas. According to the 2022 assessment by the World Bank, there are 3 drought prone areas in our country. Extreme drought prone areas, which includes the Rajasthan, Gujarat, Jaisalmer regions of the Rajasthan, etc. Severe drought prone areas, western parts of the India, that is in Rajasthan, central part of the India, Madhya Pradesh, northwestern part of the South India, Maharashtra, and coastal regions of South India, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka are the few regions where the severe drought prone areas occur. Moderate drought affected areas. Northern part of the Rajasthan, Haryana, southern parts of the Uttar Pradesh and parts of the Gujarat, Maharashtra and also the Tamil Nadu region, Karnataka regions comes under this category. Drought management. Drought prone area program is a good example to mitigate drought conditions in our country, which was established in 1973. It is meant to minimize adverse impact of drought on crops, domestic animals, productivity of land, water and human resources. It integrates development using appropriate technologies, maintains ecological balance by conserving and harvesting rainwater, and it improves socio-economic conditions of those deprived access to the resources. The next is landslides. All kinds of mass movements of a mass of rock, soil and debris down a geologically fragile slopes under the influence of gravity is called landslide. Landslides are natural disaster and geological in origin along the hills and mountain slopes. However, both natural and man-made factors triggers the landslides. As landslides occur quickly and rapidly, they pose a serious risk to the people, infrastructure and environment, causes destruction to the environment and constructions also. There are different types of landslides as discussed. Rock slide, an abrupt and free fall of rock materials detached from steep slopes or cliffs. The rocks bounce and roll and cause damages. Second, debris flow, a rapid mass movement in which loose rock, soil flow along a slope as slurry. Sometimes only a soil creeps along a slope and is associated with the steep gullies. Mud flow, a rapid moving mass of wet material that contains at least 50% silt and sand particles of clay. Lahar, a type of mud flow often caused by volcanic eruptions. It occurs due to the sudden melting of snow and ice by heat from volcanic vents and also when water breaks out from a crater lake or melting of glacier lake demanded by volcanic activity. Creep, a slow gradual movement of soil or rock along a down is called creep. It is often noticed or observed by curved tree tunnels, bent fences and tilted poles. Causes of landslides. There are various human-made and natural causes that leads to landslides. Intense rainfall, that is extreme events of rainfall from the short to longer hours often trigger landslides. Huge melting of snow in the mountain slopes or glacial burst also causes landslides. Deforestation process in the areas, the soil particles compact on the hill slopes. Repeat. Deforestation. Trees, bushes, grass holds the soil particles compact on the hill slopes. Steep mountain slopes lose their protective cover by felling of trees. Earthquakes. Seismic activities dislodge and weaken the slopes leading to landslides. Rock slides, debris flow, rock falls along the slopes, most abundant types of the landslides triggering by the earthquakes. Volcanic eruption also leads to hill slopes. Volcanic eruptions with the molten lava flow push rocky boulders and debris filled with ash and dust particles along its path on hill slopes to the valleys. Consequences of the landslides. Consequences of landslides. Loss of life and injuries also takes place due to the landslides. Property damage occurs for the infrastructure, roads, communication towers that come in their path. Displacement and homelessness also occurs to the people living in the landslide prone areas because they have to leave their homes for safety purpose. Soil erosion and sedimentation cause soil erosion, soil erosion and sedimentation causes the agricultural fields, water bodies and crops, water, aquatic habitats to destruct. Destruction of vegetation occurs because of the landslides. This lesson covered the floods, droughts, landslides were identified, discussed and presented about their genesis, types, causes and consequences. Attempt is also made to understand different measures, practices, strategies on the management of floods, droughts, landslides. Finally, the participation of the government, communities, stakeholders and use of technology at all levels is important to minimize disasters by proper management measures. Thank you all.